Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Podcast Assemble. Happy New Year! It's a show where we're going to be talking about all of our geek interests. We're going to be talking about movies and TV shows, comic books, and video games. My name's Tommy, and as always, I'm delighted to be joined by my friend and co-host, Drey.
Hey, Tommy!
How are you, buddy?
I'm good, Dan. I'm good.
We made it through the intro.
That was a tough intro. Fuck, dude. The amount of takes.
Oh my god, for people on the other side of that,
yeah.
we probably tried like 5-6 times between us.
I don't know, man. It's been
still
recovering from New Year's Eve.
I don't feel like we've started off very well here. It's like, it's 2021 though. We've got to stay positive. We've got to go into it in a
New Year's resolution intro better.
Better intro, and I will get it right 2 weeks in a row.
Start.
Pinky promise.
Yeah, first.
You sure?
One and done next time. One and done.
One and done. Yeah, I can't promise that. I was trying to fit in Happy New Year. You know, I've got my little routine laid out, so I got confused halfway through. You know,
yeah.
How was your New Year's?
It was good. You know, I think you were there.
I'm gonna say I'm not sure why I'm specifically asking you.
I'm
not for the listeners. You tell the listeners how
it was. A small gathering.
Yes.
Of 5 to 8 people.
Yes.
Depending on how many people live here.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, in Sydney there were stricter rules over New Year's.
It's pretty crazy.
We had a pretty tight little group here. It was actually a lot of fun.
It was good fun.
Yeah.
We had some old fashions.
You were making old fashions at one point.
Yeah, with the new bar I got for Christmas.
What did you get for Christmas?
I got a big bar, like cocktail bar that can kind of roll around.
Oh yeah.
You can make cocktails on it. I had the shakers, so this was like kind of the final piece. Mm-hmm. Then I went and spent like $300 on whiskey because you can't have a really, really nice cocktail bar with like no good alcohol.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I had to make some investments. But yeah, I was that. And then I got, honestly, the funniest thing. I got Cyberpunk, the new one for Xbox One, which I can't play because it's so buggy, right? You have to wait for an update. And then my girlfriend was trying to get the PlayStation 5. But before she got the PlayStation 5, she bought one of the games that she knew I was going to like.
What? Because
she just was like, oh, I actually saw it and bought it. Right. The Last of Us Part 2.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But then she couldn't get the PlayStation 5. So now I have like 2 games I just can't play. I was like, you tried, babe. You tried. But it's the valiant effort.
These are real first world problems here.
I'm not really. I thought it was fucking hilarious.
I liked it.
Like when I opened up the Cyberpunk, I just started laughing. And she's like, what?
Because she actually texted me and was like, do you think this is a good idea? And I was like, yeah, sure. Didn't even cross my mind it might not work on Xbox. To be fair,
this was before the release where it all...
It's true. It's very true.
I mean, we can talk about it in the news, I guess. It is a pretty big bit of video game news.
It was
a major release like that is that crazy.
Yeah, it was. What did I get for Christmas? Oh, my girlfriend got me a record player. I'm obviously the hipster one between the two of us.
Yes.
I've actually had a bunch of records for ages, and I actually really love listening to vinyl. And I had a record player when I used to live in Melbourne. And essentially, when I went a bit of travel, back to my traveling stories. I went a bit of travel. When I came back, I just didn't...
Big fan of vinyl.
I just didn't buy one.
But you just couldn't play it.
Yeah, I just didn't
buy one. You didn't even know if you were a fan. You just...
I knew. I used to listen to it. I used to listen to it.
The Armsy was a fan of vinyl, but you hadn't actually tried it.
Come on, wet Thor. There's no need to get that deep on each other. All right. Cool, man. So, all right. Well, let's jump into it then. Like, what have you been up to? What have you been watching? What have you been listening? What have you been playing?
Yeah. Honestly, it's so lame, but
we've had so much time. Like, we took a couple of weeks off.
So I have been watching a lot of new stuff. I was still playing The Witcher 2.
Oh, nice.
But the new stuff I've been watching, man, The Dark Crystal, Age of Rebellion.
I've heard of this.
Literally just got stoned one night and was like, this is in my queue. It looks weird. It looks like the Muppets meets like, I don't know, like what was that movie with like David Bowie in the 80s?
Oh, Labyrinth.
Yeah, meets Labyrinth. I was like, this is fucking
Is this the one with all the creatures are literal puppets?
Yeah, it's a puppet. It's a big puppet show.
I do know this. I've seen it. I saw a vignette on it.
Anyway, the voice acting is phenomenal. It's actually, there was a movie in the 80s, I think.
Okay.
And it was like a cult classic. A lot of people loved it, and apparently, like, he wanted to make the backstory for it. And so he made this like 10-part series for what was like a hour and 30-minute movie. So there's like a lot more lore now than there ever was. I haven't seen the movie, but it's awesome. I'm on the final episode. Love it. It's great.
Amazing.
It's really cool. The process, you're gonna like it a lot.
Okay.
From what you've told me about the things you like in the 80s and stuff, but. It's really interesting, good story. Like the voice acting is like amazing. It's got a bunch of people. It's got Simon Pegg as one of the.
Oh my god, really? I love Simon Pegg
as one of the villains. It's got.
He's a villain.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't want to even.
Okay.
You won't even. I don't even know if you'll be able to pick him out. Like, really? I was surprised that it was him, but I was like, I love whoever this voice actor is. He's great, and I looked it up and it was him.
Awesome.
It also has another English guy that I'm forgetting. He's in one of the X-Men. He's I feel like he might play one of the X-Men. Anyway, I'll look it up. The guy from Kingsman.
Oh yeah, Joel Edgerton.
Yeah, I don't know his name. The main dude.
Everyone loves him. I have zero interest in him.
I mean, I don't love him, but he's not bad. He was good in.
He's fine.
He was good in what's the movie he did with
Rocket Man?
Rocket Man, yeah.
Yeah.
He's good in that.
Okay, I still haven't seen that. I'm not into the biopics thing. Like, for me,
I don't love them either, but it was a good movie. I liked it.
Okay. I like Elton John though, so.
Yeah.
He's behind his stuff on vinyl. How good would that be on vinyl?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Give me some vinyl of Elton John immediately.
Then there's Khaleesi's maid, the girl that dates
Miss Sande.
Miss Sande. God, I have nothing in my brain today.
Oh wow, yeah, you're tired though. Like you've had 1 hour sleep. A lot of
sorry, guys.
It was a real hot one here last night. Like it was like super humid in Sydney.
So humid, no AC in this apartment, top floor, and one of those times where you just like you're sitting there for hours and it's like 1:30 and you're like it's just not gonna happen. And you realize it's like a dark shutter that you have like 5 more hours till light.
So you just listen through all the old episodes of Podcast Assemble.
Exactly.
As you did.
So I just listened.
Why didn't you email in at thepodcastassemble@gmail.com and tell us all about?
I should have. That would have put me to sleep. Anyway.
Oh, brilliant.
So great voice acting.
Yeah.
Awesome show. Highly recommend. If you don't watch it soon, I'll buy you an 8th and then smoke and watch it.
Oh, great. Perfect.
And then I've also been watching The Alien. I finished the...
you watched The Alienist. Yeah.
Alien. I finished that. It kind of ended
good.
Shittily. It wasn't as good. The second season was bad.
Okay.
And then Queen's Gambit, which I'm still going on, is really good. I like it.
I've not really got into that.
It's slow, but it's good.
Okay. Well, speaking of slow, I actually watched True Detective. So,
season 1?
So I've already seen season 1.
So good.
I was
season 1 is one of the single best.
Girlfriend's not seen it. She's watching that next.
It's so good.
I was really put off by the actors, obviously Vince Vaughn and Colin Farrell in
I forgot about that season.
Yeah, but
weird, dude.
We were talking about what we wanted to watch next, and I was like, oh, let's watch True Detective season 3 because it's got Mahershala Ali, and I think he's so. It's okay. So so the way the first season kind of peters out a little bit to the end, and you're a bit like, oh, I'm not really sure. Like, why didn't they get to this one is just a bit of a confusing ending. It's like, you know how at the end of Lord of the Rings, there's like 8 endings, and you're just like,
well,
you're like, is this done?
Yeah. If you haven't read the books, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
100%. It was.
Am I in this movie forever?
Yeah, it was kind of like that, except. In Lord of the Rings, it's kind of an obvious next step to you will then see them going back to Hobbiton. You'll then see them going on the book. Whereas this, it's like, oh my god, there's another bit to this. Like, what is happening? So I watched
the third season. You mean?
Yeah, the third season.
I haven't seen it, so
it's great, really good.
So you said the ending like petered out in the first one. Like, I guess it did for how intense it was.
Yeah.
But I thought it was more just like a valid conclusion to a really well done story. So
like
it was the epilogue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The challenge to the first season was that everyone expected them to, take down whoever the big bad guy was, who was controlling everything, and they just got like the smaller,
which is like kind of part of the thing. That's like what happens to detectives.
That's what I liked about it, and that's why for me, that's probably one of my all-time favorite first seasons. Probably there with like Westworld.
Yeah. Maybe
Game of Thrones.
Westworld's a great first season. Game of Thrones is phenomenal first.
I'm not sure about the first season. I think it gets better in second and third. The ending to it.
HBO is just fired.
Yeah.
And I actually haven't watched an HBO show that's like original since Game of Thrones.
Really?
So I need to get back
into it. Oh, you watched Westworld? That's HBO, isn't it?
Yeah, true. That's the last one, actually. But that was happening while Game of Thrones was happening. I meant like since the ending of Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I haven't watched one.
That first season of Westworld, hands down, probably it's my top 3.
It's so well done. Which is why the second one was kind of like, what is going on?
The third,
but that was everything.
I just watched the third one and it's trash.
Is it?
It's literally makes no sense.
Is it trash?
It's nonsense.
Like, it never did. It never made sense, but at least it had themes.
No, the first
had themes.
The first one you could pick up sort of what was going on, and by like the middle of it, you're kind of going, there's definitely something off about these timelines, and then you're a bit like, spoilers for Westworld. The first one was
more well done. It also had really like abstract, like the map. The map was like actually nothing. Yeah, when you actually go back and think about what the map served in the storyline, it didn't serve anything.
Sure.
It was like a symbol for her enlightenment.
You can tell that we've clearly not like spoken about any of this shit for like a good couple of weeks because we were just like.
Yeah, to be fair, also Westworld, we shouldn't just try and dive into that without any prep. That's a bad idea.
I'm trying to think of other things that I have been watching because I've actually consumed quite a lot of media because the weather's not been great here over like Christmas, New Year's.
Terrible. It's El Nino year.
I was away over like Christmas for a week, so I missed out on a lot of like watching time. But I have actually caught up with a couple of random DC movies, something we're going to move on to in a little bit. So I actually watched I watched the Emancipation of Harley Quinn. You know, the one that's like
you
Birds
already
of Prey.
watched that.
Oh, maybe I thought I watched that over Christmas. I don't know. I watched it recently, and then I also watched the first Wonder Woman movie because I realized I hadn't seen it. I was like, oh, maybe honestly, that's one movie that everyone bangs on about, and I just never got around to
I
watching.
feel like I've seen 80% of it. Like for some reason, there's a part of it that I don't remember. I think it's the ending.
It's really good.
I don't really remember the ending.
The ending's very not memorable.
Can we go spoilers?
So Wonder Woman 1 spoilers from 2018.
I didn't know the main guy died.
Oh,
so like when I saw that he was back, it wasn't a big surprise.
Chris Pine?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I must have missed the ending, but yeah, it was a good movie.
I really enjoyed it. Right, like I think
let's be clear, the first one.
Yeah, considering everything everyone says about that movie, I really genuinely enjoyed it. Like there's obviously flaws with it. Like the ending is just a big CGI nonsense. It's like, so what? Like who cares? But I like the acting. I think with her, especially when they keep it smaller scale, it
just
works
so
really well.
striking.
She's such a great
she takes
actor.
over every scene. So like when they make it these big elaborate things, it's like just not really.
Yeah.
It's not that it's not playing to her strengths. It's just that you're just like the opportunity cost is so high.
She's we're going to talk about this a little bit anyway. What else have I been up to? Oh, I downloaded and have been playing a game which my brother will love me for referencing. He actually bought me this game probably maybe pushing 10 years ago, right? So my brother bought me this game pushing 10 years ago, and I saw it on the PlayStation Store. It's called Last Remnant, and it's a classic turn-based RPG, and I am so into classic turn-based RPGs. It's great.
Like old Final Fantasy?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. But it's like, it's got more interesting like stuff to the fighting system, so it's not just you hit you. It's like it's got other stuff to it, and like the story's kind of intriguing. And I remembered I never finished it back in the day. So I remember I got to a point and I was like, I can't remember. Maybe I moved out or whatever. We were living. Me and my brother lived together at the time, or whatever happened. I never finished it. So I'm like,
you just downloaded
I'm gonna finish. Yeah, it was on PlayStation Store
for free.
It was like 10 I think it was £10, so it was like $20. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm gonna buy that.
Ever free.
Yeah.
What am I saying?
Well, actually, I really wanted to play the Batman Arkham games, but you can't. You have to buy Pass Plus, whatever it is, the PlayStation Pass.
They don't let you just buy the game.
No, you have to have bought the pass to get those games. I'm like, oh fuck this is too much work.
Yeah. And it's like a monthly fee.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It is. It's one of those. I honestly can't remember the flow to our show.
What have we been watching?
Oh, the news. We haven't done news. Let's talk about
news. News.
Do you want me to dive in first? You said you'd come with some news today.
Have some news. Well, let's just go. I'll go first, and then we'll get into more.
Please.
Or whatever news we have. Have you noticed the amount of UFO stuff going on the last 3 weeks, dude? There was a full-on UFO... hear me out. Full-on UFO sighting in Hawaii, and I'm looking for my phone because it had the other stuff, and I'll go off memory if not. But there was a full-on UFO sighting over like a beach in Hawaii. 10 different people saw it. Wow. There's a bunch of different videos, all the same thing.
How high were they all at the same time?
It's Hawaii.
How many mushrooms have been taken at that exact moment?
But like multiple people called the cops because they saw it drop into the ocean. Yeah. And they're like, the cops like investigated with the Federal Aviation Agency. There's like, no, we didn't have anything going on. We don't know what it is. Ooh. And then also this whole...
Was it nighttime?
It was nighttime. It was this big blue...
Dude, it's a drone.
This big blue...
I'm sorry to tell you, it's a drone.
Not a drone. It was not a drone.
Was that
you
video?
Watched the video.
Was that video footage?
Yeah, watch it. It's not a drone.
Okay.
It does not make sense to be a drone. Anyway, that's not the only bit of news. I'm going full tinfoil here. Please. At the same time...
Oh, God.
The U.S. is pushing through their stimulus bill, right? Yeah. They're trying to.
Yeah.
There's a random clause that's added in that says in the next 60 days, the CIA has to reveal everything they know about UFOs. It's like, this is a legitimate thing. It's just a little add-on into the bill. I swear to God.
What's that got to do with stimulus?
Nothing, but it's the way the government works in America. You just throw things on when you can get it in, and somebody was like, this, we need to know. The truth must come out.
Did they... Put it all out there?
So, it's not approved yet because they're debating over the 600 versus 2,000.
Yeah, that's it.
But that part is on the bill. So, if it does get through, it will eventually come out. And then this one, courtesy of old Joe Rogan's Instagram feed. Yeah. A Harvard professor says an alien visited in 2017 and more are coming. This guy looks like Gordon Love. I messed it up again. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, this Harvard professor. Anyway... basically this astronomy chair of Harvard believes an object that recently passed through our solar system is alien in origin. It was at least 10 times more reflective than typical asteroids or comets. He likened the surface to a shiny metal. It was also moving away from the sun's gravity. It was estimated to be 3,000 feet long in an extremely unusual shape, 5 to 10 times longer than it is wide. It literally looks like a spliff. There's a flying spliff.
Are you sure it's not Thanos' ship?
I mean, it could be.
It could be. Dude, we're all about to get wiped out. Can't wait. Half of us. Which half is going to get wiped out?
My point is 2020. Dude, 2021 is fucked.
Oh, yeah.
It's already starting strong. There's 3 UFO news in the first week. 3 bits of UFO news. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent.
I love it. It's great. I love the strange news. Yeah. Maybe we should make that a regular feature.
We try. But
you tend to forget, though.
It's not always strange enough. Like sometimes it's like some guy's dog got lost. And I'm like, I don't care about this.
All right. Well, do you want to hear some
Let's hear
comic book news?
Real news.
I love that you literally just told me a story about a giant spliff.
Dude, doesn't it look like a spliff?
It seems like this is the theme of our show up to now. Okay, here you go. Yeah. So, over Christmas, I honestly took a bit of a break. I wasn't looking at a hell of a lot of news. I picked a few little bits that came out. There's 1 or 2 here and there. First and foremost, Justice League star Ray Fisher, Cyborg. Mm-hmm. He has confirmed that he won't take part in any DC films headed by Walter Hamada moving forward, which is interesting. You know, there's been a lot of he's put a lot of stuff in the media about how he was badly treated on the Justice League set under Joss Whedon and how there was a lot of negative culture. So I kind of hope all what happened in that comes out into the open and we can actually find out what really happened. But moving swiftly on to one that I'm not going to talk about, I'm just going to touch on. Jared Leto says that the Morbius movie is going to be very different to other superhero movies. I don't care. Do you care?
Well, I don't even know what Morbius is.
I'm not going to watch that.
What is it?
So new things, other new things. So they have already announced that Ready Player 2 will be adapted to the cinema by Warner Brothers. Ready Player 2 hasn't even been released as a book yet.
Well, yeah, I was like, I've read the first one.
Yeah, I know.
Is there another one?
Well, I mean,
it's right in there somewhere.
Honestly, I didn't enjoy the first movie. What did you think of it?
First movie was fine.
It was all right. Like,
I mean, the book's better. But...
Like, you know, there was a lot of little things about it. I was like,
it's better.
No one cares that much.
It's definitely better than that.
No, it was not.
Yes, it was.
No, it was not.
Oh, give me a break.
No.
Really?
No.
That's.
I'm not having that in the slightest.
That's a shame.
Well, okay, we're gonna touch on our main feature in a little moment. So let me just spin through the last couple bits of news I've got. So first and foremost, Warner Brothers has continued to embrace the idea of a multiverse within its films. So the Wonder Woman films, the Aquaman film, the Justice League stuff is all in under the term Earth 1 now. And the Robert Pattinson the Batman film is now going to be in Earth 2. So
Earth 2?
Yes, that's what it says.
That's what they're calling it?
Yes.
Earth 2.
It's real it's real creative.
DC really knows
real creative. Don't be like that. Come on, man.
I didn't tear them apart.
You're just a tired boy. That's what it is. You're grumpy, aren't you?
No.
Well, I think that's kind of interesting because, I mean, yeah, there's so many multiversal things in comics, especially in DC, that can open to people crossing, people coming back. The Flash movie, the Flash is very much a proponent of jumping between universes. So it's very interesting.
Is there any other Earth 2 storylines, or is it just right now Patterson?
Not to my knowledge, but I mean, nothing's coming out right now, so just the Batman right now. It could be anything though. I mean, they could do hundreds of singular. The point is, they're making singular movies, and some of them are going to fit within certain universes. Some are going to fit within. It's interesting.
I mean, and that's what Marvel did too. To be fair, they've got things that are completely separate from it. With like, what's his name? Not Daredevil, but Ryan Reynolds. What
are you talking about?
Who's Ryan Reynolds play? What
I've lost track of what we're talking about.
Who's Ryan Reynolds?
Green Lantern.
But no, that's not what he's known for though. He's known for Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Yeah, so like Deadpool is completely separate to all the other stuff that they do.
But will he be?
We'll see.
That's a great
Traditionally
question.
Though.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, the last bit of news I'm going to chuck out there to you then is one that I know you're super keen on, and it's coming out in just under 2 weeks, which is WandaVision. Has been confirmed to be 9 episodes. Which is one more than Mandalorian, which is interesting.
Which means it probably should be 6.
Yeah.
Usually.
I don't know. You say that, but old TV shows, old sitcoms used to be like 22 episodes.
Yeah, I mean that's
like I told you before, I'm watching like my sort of crappy background TV shows, Community at the moment, And there's like 22 episodes a season.
You can't compare like background community TV like to a superhero show.
I'm not. And there's obviously significantly more budget been pumped into this, which is why there's so few episodes. But it's certainly interesting. I wonder if, it is in the style of a sitcom though, right? So I wonder if the episodes are going to be like 25, 30 minutes to sort of fit with that style. That would make sense, right?
Yeah, it would. It's fair. If it's a sitcom like style though, the whole time I'll be very...
Well, it's not. And I actually forgot this, going back to what we've been up to. I've actually been reading House of M, which is a graphic...
Oh, yeah, you told me that.
Which is a graphic novel, and it's about... we've roughly talked about it on the show before. I'm rereading. It's basically about Scarlet Witch has her psyche's broken, and her powers are out of control, and she loses control. She, first and foremost, does a lot of horrible things that changes the world, and then she literally snaps and utters the immortal words, "No more mutants," which is very well known in the comics, which means the mutants would be wiped out. Obviously, there aren't mutants right now in the MCU, but could they be building something similar to...
She goes the opposite. There's tons of
mutants. Yeah, but could
there's lots of them everywhere.
There's
even a school. Jerry, I'm sorry. You were saying...
No, I was going to say, as we sort of talking about DC, that's a lovely segue into our main feature. Do you want to do the main feature theme?
Main feature theme.
We're changing from topic to
Still don't
feature.
have a theme.
We don't have a main feature theme.
Well, we need to like get a soundboard. Like,
oh god.
Where'd you find this?
Talking about random noises about it. Oh god, some like weird like breakfast show from the 90s in America. Like
what?
That's like in the background.
Bro, that's not the 90s.
Like
that's like still happening.
Oh god.
Like,
please.
Go on to like Kiss FM, bro.
I would turn that off immediately. Yeah. Going back to random soundbites that you mentioned, we just had a couple of messages this week, and I needed to call this out at the top. I should have called this out at the beginning. Someone actually mentioned that last episode's Christmas theme with the jingle bells going on in the background was out of time.
You don't say.
You don't say. We were going to put any effort into actually making it work.
Are you trying to like pretend like that it was purposely out of time?
No, I'm saying I just didn't give a shit.
It was impressively out of time.
I'm just saying I didn't care.
And to be fair, I didn't care either.
No, you didn't even notice.
Of course I noticed. When you listen to it, it's like, dang, but I didn't care.
No.
It's kind of part of the charm.
We got a couple of messages of people been like, that's out of sync. And I was like, of course it's out of sync. I didn't try. It was stupid.
It was a drag and drop.
Yeah, right? It was a drag and drop. What it was. So please don't care. If you re-listen to that episode, please do not care about the beginning of that. And if you do care enough, email your hate to Drey. He's at
good for you.
thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. He will absolutely answer all of your emails.
You do care enough. Get a life.
Okay, don't say that's the listeners, bro.
Sorry, listeners.
Singular.
Sorry, listener.
That's our main topic then. Do you want to explain the main topic?
The main topic this week, because we finally got to go see a movie. Yeah. There wasn't many options.
Nope.
I don't even think there was any options other than this. For something that was like released within like a new movie. What else was there?
Nothing worth seeing.
We saw Wonder Woman 1984.
Yes.
And I didn't even look if there was anything else. We just figured there wasn't. And so we saw it in theaters. We're going to talk about it, what we thought about it, the standard stuff.
The usual crap we get
plot,
to. Yeah, we like to
things we
talk
like,
about
things
shit.
we didn't like. Is it better or worse than Aquaman? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, all the
hot topics.
We were going to do an episode on the movies we're most excited for 2021.
Yeah.
And then we just managed to find a little space between times and got to see this movie. And you know what? I was quite excited to see it. I'd heard good things. It was originally certified fresh and Rotten Tomatoes. This is obviously...
Was it really?
I'll get to that in a moment. But obviously, this is the follow-up to 2017's Wonder Woman. This is a long movie, right? This is 151 minutes. Like, it's 2.5 hours. Like, that's hectic. It did have a budget of $200 million, with the box office coming in at $118.5 million. Now,
wow.
In normal times, that would be really bad. But at the moment, obviously, this was trial. This is a massive trial, and not everywhere has cinemas open. Not everywhere can get cinema. So that's the highest grossing movie of COVID times. That beat Tenet.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
But this is a gracious Rotten Tomatoes.
But that doesn't even that doesn't even factor in the fact that, it's put on straight to HBO Max and there's the sign-ups and the money they're getting off of that. So, it could come out well. And the positive reaction to it has actually led to Warner Brothers fast-tracking a third movie with these guys.
I'm like so surprised that this is rated this well on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, we'll get to that in a moment, but this was originally intended to be released actually in December 2019.
Really? So this has been
an
filmed
entire
for a while.
year ago. So yeah, it was actually pushed back because they didn't want to compete with the Rise of Skywalker. They didn't want to compete with Star Wars.
So this is filmed in like 2018.
2017, 18, yeah.
So Chris Pine's actually older than he looks in this.
Yeah. Well, don't spoil the movie. I mean, he's in the trailer, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, come on.
But it's crazy.
I didn't even know.
It's crazy.
I didn't know when he died, then I saw it.
It's crazy they pushed it to the early New Year slot to avoid that, and they had to push it for an entire year because of it. Like, the whole thing just got screwed. So tell me, you obviously know the Rotten Tomatoes score. What was the Rotten Tomatoes score?
61 critics, 74 audience.
Yeah, overall it's sitting at 60% right now, which is interesting because they did a bunch of screenings for like a very select number of people, and at the time, after the select screenings, it was at 100%. Everyone was. I mentioned
that's cooking the books.
I mentioned very much at the top of the last episode that everyone the reviews were coming in early reviews and they were phenomenal, whereas it dropped significantly.
Do you remember the
down
second?
6%.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Down to the second Star Wars movie, the one you actually liked. You said the second
Jedi?
the second new one. Yeah,
yeah.
It was the same way. It was like 98 for all the pre-screens, and then as all the feels like legit reviewers started reviewing it, not the ones that got the special treatment in the pre-screening or like paid a little extra to make it a nice review.
Yeah.
It dropped pretty significantly. I wonder if that's like something they do these days.
I mean,
to pump it up.
Well, I think if you get like a pre-screening, you probably don't get. You probably are sort of. It's implied you have to give it not a good review, but like you have to be nice to it because they're kind of giving you free shit. It's like
so you've sold your soul
a little bit.
Yeah,
but then I'd go and see a free film, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I don't know if I could be like. I don't know if I could be like, this is a 61 or if what is 100. This is 100% wrong.
Look, if we ever got big enough that someone picked us up and were like, "Hey, do you want to go and see this movie?" I'd be like, "Hell yeah, I want to go and see a free movie."
Yeah, I just wouldn't give it 100 if it was.
Yeah, that's true.
I would.
I'd just be honest. Yeah. Well, Metacritic says 60 and IMDb says 5.5 out of 10, with Roger Ebert, our old favorite, giving it only 2 stars. So, I mean, this is bang down the middle, right? So that's pretty average all around. We've mentioned a bunch of times that a lot of people like whatever they like, and good for them. But 5.5 is very average, especially for IMDb.
Yeah.
Which is certainly interesting. I mean, well, anyway, so the director was Patty Jenkins. We know this. She came back after the first one. Warner Brothers threw a lot of money at her and Gal Gadot to come back, which is great. And as I mentioned before, they've actually been asked to write, direct, and star in a third part to conclude a trilogy of movies, which is great. Good for them, man. Like,
and the cast was like a good cast. They all the stuff made it look like I was actually not. I was excited to see it because I liked the first one. Although I had heard some things ahead of seeing it, so it kind of influenced my opinion. But then, and with getting a little ahead of myself. But then, like when I started the movie, I was actually enjoying it.
Well, I think it's worth noting at the top. Like this is the first time we've been back in the cinema for so long. I think.
Yeah, it could be.
I think we might have even had high expectations in general because we were both a bit like, oh god, I can't wait to get back to like the cinema. Like I think I certainly did. Like it was a good movie. We're gonna talk about that in a moment. I think. We can talk about actors first then. So, like, pretty much everyone returned who was in the first one. Anyone of note, anyway. Yeah, Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, Robin Wright, Connie Nielsen. We also had the inclusions of Kristen Wiig as Barbara Minerva. I think it spoils in the trailers anyway. She is Cheetah as well. But then we also have Pedro Pascal as Donald Maxwell Lord. I knew he had a name.
Maxwell Lord.
Yeah, and
that's a weird name actually.
He's from the comics, but he's a very different character in the comics, which is really strange.
Yeah.
But I love that cast. I mean, I think they've done all they can do with Chris Pine, but like overall, I think you mentioned before Gal Gadot is great.
Yeah, she's great. Honestly, all those actors are great. They weren't. Some of them were like almost good despite their dialogue. Like,
100%.
You know,
I agree.
Kristen Wiig not being. I mean, like
we'll talk about her later. Let's get into that in a little bit. Yeah. But why don't you tell me about the tone of the movie? What do you feel the tone was?
The tone was like it started very differently than it ended.
Okay.
I think the tone and the beginning was like I quite liked it. It was like kind of like your standard, not standard, but your normal comic book movie. There's a bit of comedic relief. Your comic book hero is a bit jaded.
It was a bit of a throwback comic book movie, wasn't it?
It felt throwbacky.
Yeah.
Like it felt like early Spider-Man, like Spider-Man 2 vibe or something like that for me. The beginning, and then and you're kind of feeling this for this. I guess heroess, is that what heroine?
Just a hero.
Heroine. Yeah. Who's been just alive since World War One, apparently.
She's been alive for a lot longer than that.
Well, okay,
she's not been in the world. She's been in the world since.
Sorry, alive in America since World War One.
Okay.
But yeah, the tone was like a standard, like build up detective, and then all of a sudden it got really campy.
Do you know what I wrote for the tone? I just wrote, this movie is so fucking 80s.
Was it though?
It is literally like...
I mean, like, there was a lot of 80s, but I don't know if I thought the tone was 80s.
It's like if somebody grabbed, like, something with 80s written on it and was just slamming you in the face repeated, like, 80s, 80s,
yeah,
80s. I was like,
no, they wanted you to know that it was set in the 80s.
Unbelievable.
Like, they wanted you to for sure know that. But I don't think that, like, the cuts... or like the music, or like the things around it was almost like a '90s movie.
Well, let's get into that in a minute. Then. So, what do you think the themes of the movie right now? One of my themes sort of straddles tone and theme, but tell me what you thought the themes were.
The theme is kind of like it's got to be just like. I actually hadn't thought about this. It does depend on the character, but I think at the end of the day, it's like you got to be able to move on, like and hope and move forward from like hard times, and also be okay with yourself the way you are.
Yeah, I think.
But it kind of depends on the person. There's like three different. Like there's a theme for every character. It feels like if you're talking about Pedro, I think
that's the main theme.
Yeah,
and I think materialism corrupts.
Yeah.
Complete power corrupts complete, or whatever they say.
Power absolutely.
I think that's sort of the key theme running through it all. But I guess
that's true.
I did really enjoy it. Yeah, and I wrote this is the one I wrote down that sort of straddles the two. The one I really enjoyed was the man out of time. So like, what's interesting is in the first one, Diana was this person out of time who was just didn't know what was going on around her. And then it's flipped on his head, and this time it's Steve who's the man out of time, and I really enjoyed that.
I liked it too. I liked
fun theme.
Yeah, I liked that reversal, and I also thought he's just like he plays that. He's really chilled.
His chemistry with her is unbelievable.
Yeah,
on screen as well.
They probably are fucking or something because
she's very married, and I'm pretty sure they're not. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
But there is a phenomenal GIF that you can find where it's the two of them doing an interview for the first Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah,
and she looks at him and she bites her lip while she does it, and you're like, damn, you can tell that they're not because she clearly wants to. And you're like, oh, good for you guys. No, but their chemistry on screen is phenomenal. And I think that's a really big... I think it's a really big drive.
That carries the first half of the film
100%,
for sure.
Big time.
And I would agree with you on the time thing, except for like when I started to think about it and I was like, dude, like you were last in America in World War One.
Yeah.
That is like, what, early 30s, late 20s? Late 20s, 1920s?
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly.
19.
Like a lot has changed. Like, and like, how about the fact that like all you're caring about and noticing is that the planes are bigger and that the style's changed? Like, you sure you don't have any questions?
Yeah.
You sure you don't have any questions? Like why are like black people not drinking out of other drinking fountains or like be at the front of the like? There's
real specific, but yeah.
Well, my point is they totally just like didn't acknowledge any of that. The world has changed drastically, and you're talking about a scarf. Come on, bro. Like, have a little bit more.
I think they managed to skip over that by how he was sort of less racially focused in the first movie. So like his posse was, one was a Native American guy, one was like a Middle Eastern guy, and it was like there was this ragtag
I'm not
band.
saying he has to be a bigoted character. I'm saying like you just acknowledge the change, and like make it a topic. If he's the kind of guy that would have been like sympathetic to that, be like have that be like a line where you're like, this is amazing. Like you guys have made such progress.
We're getting so deep into this. Tell me the plot first, tell me the plot before we jump into it.
The plot is
what the fuck happens in this movie?
The plot is they basically, they discover a, humdy-dum. She's just doing normal stuff, right? Like
she's trying to have a normal life.
Have a normal life, but also saving people every now and again. Yeah. One of the people one of the like good acts she does is she stops like what looked like a bank heist, but ends up being a like trafficking of artifacts
Yep.
heist.
Yeah.
She gets an artifact and it ends up being mysterious. Her and this other expert, are they anthropologists? Is that what they are? They're anthropologists. They're analyzing artifacts for the Smithsonian Museum. This thing ends up having magical powers. Some guy steals it who's over his head. He's basically Donald Trump, which is Pedro Pascal. Steals this artifact, which he's obviously been looking for a while.
The Dreamstone.
The Dreamstone. And it empowers him.
That's the worst name, by the way.
Dude, that whole part. That's like my biggest problem with the movie is this MacGuffin thing. But is the Dreamstone. But this Dreamstone basically grants the power to, grant wishes and take a bane as well.
Yeah.
So he ends up using this to actually become the Dreamstone and really just wreak havoc on the world by becoming the most powerful individual out there.
Yeah, so I think you're right. I think it's so the things I wrote down, and a lot of this is sort of just taken from sort of what I've read about the movie and what I've imprinted on it from my own sort of thoughts and feelings during. It's a bit of it's a cautionary tale, right? It's this sort of overview of that, wish fulfillment doesn't ultimately grant you the satisfaction, the human experience.
You always want what you
obviously
don't have.
Expect. It's basically Bruce Almighty.
It is Bruce Almighty. That's actually a great analogy.
It's literally Bruce Almighty.
Bruce Almighty's a good movie, though.
I love that movie at the time.
Movie.
That movie at the time, I was the bit where he pulls the moon close to the earth.
Why is that exactly what I was thinking? I think it must have been in the trailer.
Ridiculous. Yeah, it probably was. But that was what I kind of got. I remember walking out of this movie and being a bit I enjoyed it, but I couldn't get that nagging sensation out of my head of what does that remind me of? And I was trying to think of other comic book movies or other big set piece movies, and I was no, actually, hang on a minute. This is literally the entire plot.
It can't be.
Bruce Almighty.
The whole second half and the concept of that drove the plot with the wishing thing.
Yeah.
So the fact that this thing it grants you a wish, but it also takes a bane, so it takes something away.
We're gonna come back to that in a little bit more detail.
But that whole thing to me was what ruined the movie.
I completely agree with you.
I walked out really God, I wish I could have left 45 minutes ago. I did. And the first 45 minutes was good. So it dropped off.
I think there is a couple of scenes towards the end which we'll touch on that saved some of the ending for me, and I was a bit we'll talk about it in a moment, but we kind of want to get into it then. There's one thing I want to mention, non spoiler wise first. Did you notice some of the CGI was fucking terrible? I was in a $200 million movie. Okay, perfect example.
I'm trying to remember the CGI scenes where they were fighting the cheetah girl.
Dire.
Yeah, that wasn't that
perfect
good.
example. Yeah. The bit when she's running down the road. When she's chasing after Maxwell Lord.
It just looks really weird how fast she runs.
She was fucking floating 3 inches above the road.
Something looked weird about that. It was I think it was also just the fact that they tried to make her look like she was running so fast. It's that just doesn't look good.
Running fast.
Because I know what running fast looks like.
Does not look good in movies. There are two good examples of running fast, right, on the screen. One is X-Men Days of Future Past with Quicksilver. The scene where he runs by and he's moving bullets out of the way. And the other one is the boys. Yeah. The other one is the boys. Just don't show him running.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any fucking sense.
That's too fast. That's obviously not what they're trying to go for. You're saying that happy medium is just not a good look.
No, it's dire.
Yeah. I agree. It looks just too close to reality.
If you've ever watched Justice League, the Flash, so unbelievably bad. I can't even watch it. It is... he even looks like he doesn't know how to run. I'm are you in Thunderbirds? Are you a puppet? What's wrong with you? It's bad, right? Anyway, that's just chunk CGI. And I remember we were talking about this beforehand, and I wondered going into this, how many of the sort of DCU movies had you actually seen leading into this?
Not enough, to be fair. And I was going to try and watch one yesterday, but work got the best of me.
Oh, which ones have you seen?
I've seen Wonder Woman 1.
Yeah.
I've seen Man of Steel, which I liked but didn't love.
Okay.
It did run for me.
I like Man of Steel.
For the thing with DC, they all too often run into this just big CGI fest.
Yeah.
At literally the 75% done mark. Where and also you end up like hoping that it was closer to being done because of that. Like it just extends the movie too long.
Yeah, 100%.
I also saw Batman, part of Batman versus Superman, but like I hadn't seen the Batman one.
Okay.
Wasn't there a Batman before Batman versus Superman with Ben Affleck?
No.
No, that was the first one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I saw like part of that. So not enough. Aquaman.
Yeah, of course. Forced you to watch it. You had to.
So look, I guess like I just haven't really been impressed with anything from that universe except for Wonder Woman 1.
Okay. So I mean, like I think I've pretty much caught up on almost all those movies now.
Yeah.
I enjoy the lighter tone ones. Now, don't get me wrong, I did enjoy Batman vs Superman, even though there's some dodgy plot points in there. You liked Man of Steel, though, right?
I liked it, but it was so long ago. I'm trying to remember. I just like Henry Cavill. But,
yeah, he's great, to be fair.
But I do think, and I liked the main villain in that.
General Zod.
Yeah, I liked him.
I was trying to think of his something Shannon. I forgot.
I liked him, but I just hated how it turned into like 30 minutes of CGI.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a big problem with a lot of these movies. And so the ones I did enjoy, so like a lot of people gave Shazam a lot of shit. I enjoyed that movie, even though the ending was that. It was a good movie.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean about the lighter movies, like the lighter tone ones. Like this, the things I liked about this were some of the lighter moments and some of the more heartfelt moments.
That's what Marvel does so well.
Yeah, and the thing Marvel does well, right, is they keep it consistent. Whereas with these, one moment you've got this like happy-go-lucky movie, and the next minute it's all mad and depressing. And we'll talk about, like I said, it's just a bit all over the place tonally.
And the depressing moments in Marvel feel earned.
Yes,
these don't feel earned in these movies because I don't care about a lot of these characters.
Okay, we're gonna talk. All right, we're gonna jump into spoilers.
Counterparts.
We're gonna jump into spoilers very quickly because I'm gonna counteract you on that. Is this better or worse than Aquaman 2018?
It's better.
Just for anyone who's not listened to the show before, the reason we had this conversation is because a while ago when Aquaman first came out, me and a buddy in London saw the Aquaman movie and we both came out thinking, this is the most middling, average movie we've ever seen in our life. And it was a combination of overhype and not going to see Die Hard for some reason. And
that's a tough one to beat.
I know.
If you were expecting Die Hard. Yeah.
No, because the two were on at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if one of you was like, oh, I kind of want to do that, like, you're going to be going into that whole movie thinking about that.
Well, so we use Aquaman as this is a 5 hours. This is our bang in the middle. We don't do marks out of 10, even though I just said it. We don't do marks out of 10 or stars or whatever. We literally just say, is it better or worse than what we see as just a movie?
Can I just say that it's actually equal? And if you could see my like Venn diagram, like Aquaman was just like it's just straight, right? It's like middling. It's at 5. But if you have like the scale of 1 to 10 on the y-axis, and then where it's at like on the x, it's just straight at 5.
100%.
But this movie was like up at 7 to start.
Okay.
And then halfway through the movie, it just goes down to 3, and it just averages out at a 5, or whatever it would be to average out at 5. You see what I'm saying? Like they're both 5, but they're very different 5s.
Interesting.
Like by the end of this movie, you feel like it's a 4, but in the beginning of the movie, you felt like it was a 6.
But by our own rules that we stick to litigiously, you have to say is it better or worse?
Then it's better because the acting. Because of Gal Gadot.
And Patty Jenkins, the dream team.
Yeah, well, I just think that the acting was still good, even though even like Pedro, like he threw himself into this role. He was trying.
Scenery.
He was trying.
Real.
There were some really bad lines, but I was like, dude, you're at least throwing yourself into this.
Yeah, and I think that's so for me, Aquaman, like none of the characters have any chemistry.
Yeah.
It all feels very forced. Willem Dafoe's there for some reason. Like
it's a positive.
It's just it is just a middling movie. And whereas
so underutilized in that movie as well, except for the samurai cut. Like that is the best part about it.
He's great. Look, I love Willem Dafoe, and I'm making fun of him, but I do actually.
No, but it's true. It's like he's like there. Yeah, and just like really kind of underutilized for what he could be.
And for Wonder Woman 1984, I'm going to say I actually think it's better than Aquaman. I will say it is better than Aquaman 2018.
I don't really want to say that because of how bad the ending.
Look, if we had,
but if I have to, I will. Yeah.
If we had a ruling for the same,
yeah,
I'd probably at a push say it's just about. I'd say it's a contender for being the next Aquaman 2018.
Yeah, but you're right, there was enough like characters that I enjoyed the scenes that they were in together.
Yeah.
Where like I can't point to one in Aquaman. Yeah. What's the scene that I'm like, oh, this is compelling? Good question. Yeah.
The scene where they're going to the deeps, pretty cool, where they fight all those guys.
Yeah, that's all right. But like that wasn't like a character scene, right? It was more just like there was some cool cinematics there. Yeah. I think like the bar scene with his dad would probably be my only one where I was like, oh, that was kind of...
I like the scene where the guys take selfies with him.
Yeah, interesting. That's funny.
It's the first 5 minutes of the film.
There was like the goodbye with... I was actually like, okay, that's a tough goodbye that they just had.
We're going way too far into Aquaman 2018 here. Like, I don't give a shit about that movie.
No, I'm talking about...
I think it's better.
Wonder Woman, like the goodbye between... Well, that's spoilers, but...
Okay, right. Yeah. So, as we're already there, let's jump straight into spoilers. I'm going to be upfront with this, and I'm going to say I think this has a problem with sequelitis. I think in 2020, movies now, if they get a sequel, they have to be bigger, they have to be better, they have to have more money, they have to have bigger spectacles, they have to have more characters, they have to have more villains. It's like, no.
Take it down, make it good.
Like, the great thing about Wonder Woman 1 was that it was this contained story, and not every... I mean, don't get me wrong, the ending went a bit wacky. But, like, for the majority of it, it was just focused on her and Chris Pine, and it was very slimline, and I loved that about that. And I think this just went too wacky.
Well, and also, like, not only did it go too wacky, it went too wacky, like, twice.
Yeah.
Like, both villains were too wacky. And both villains were...
So Pedro and...
Pedro and what's the girl from Saturday Night Live's name? I forget.
We're talking about...
We're talking
Kristen
about...
Wiig, sorry.
Kristen Wiig, yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
So both of them kind of become villains. And in a very predictable manner.
So predictable.
Like, for both of them. And in a predictable manner that also wasn't, like, grounded. It was so tropey. It wasn't grounded in any, like, character-driven reason for, like... Yeah. So you're telling me because you, like, were... a bit like awkward for a bit of time, you're gonna turn into this super killer? Did you not
like,
think bro, just put makeup on?
Did you not think that
what's stopping you from getting a nice dress before?
Did you not think that character really mirrors Elektra in Amazing Spider-Man 2? I
feel as if there was like
Jamie Foxx thing where it's like, for no apparent reason, you all of a sudden hate this person. It's like, what is happening?
Dude, I feel like that happens so many... Like, that's like every bad superhero movie has a villain that's like that.
Just doesn't have
you can
any
honestly
motivation.
Define the superhero movie, how good it is by how good the villain is and how much you can relate to them.
Yeah, agreed, yeah.
And
well, that's why... we came out of this and you weren't that hot on Pedro Pascal. I don't know if you've changed now, but that's why when I came out, I was like, I actually like that character. Like, I thought it was really interesting watching him get corrupted by the power that he'd been given. And, like, he... obviously started with the intentions of his company, getting out of the shit it was in. And then the power he had was, you could see it corrupting him as he was going. It was almost like the vein down his face was showing him getting more and more corrupted. I loved that. I thought that was really interesting. Like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't pulled off in the most spectacular manner.
He was good. Like that I think that's like
God,
more
he's
because
hilarious.
He was a good actor.
Yeah,
like,
he's a great actor.
I think that like the actual storyline behind that, like they should have just focused on him and given me more reasons to see why he would have been susceptible to that power more than others. Instead, we didn't really get it, other than the fact that he was desperate.
But you didn't have a lot of time to do that either.
Because they added another freaking villain for no reason.
Well, I've got a theory about that. I think my theory behind that is because he was never going to be a big superpowered like machismo. He was never going to be able to fight her. He was always just a human with some like crazy powers.
I get it.
But they needed a big fight scene to end on, so they had to shoehorn in Cheetah so she could have the fight scene.
Or you just like if you're truly trying to build Earth 1, you introduce this character and you give signs that she's going to be the villain in the next movie.
She might be though. That's one of the spoilers I've got written down. Like, you don't. So the interesting thing about her character at the end is, so Kristen Wiig's character at the end, you don't
know if she gave her wish back.
Well, you know that she gave her wish away that she did with Pedro Pascal because she didn't look like a cat anymore, which is weird. But the wish she initially made, you're like, does she still have all the powers of Wonder Woman? Which is real interesting.
Yeah. Would have,
And you didn't see Maxwell Lord get any comeuppance at all, which is fucking weird.
I just
like the man just ruined the entire world. Like what?
He just goes and hugs his kid.
Yeah, like
put him in prison. I'm a bad guy.
Put him in prison at least.
Spare your kid these details right now. He's a bit traumatized.
I actually did have. I'm trying to find where I wrote this down. I just had a really big. So I've stolen unanswerable questions from the rewatchables. Right. I know we talk about that podcast a lot. I love those guys, but I'm gonna steal unanswerable questions because I have a really solid question about him. Right. And now call me out if this is dumb, but in my head, I'm like, hang on a minute. So, all right. So they launched the nukes at each other, right?
Yeah.
The US and Russia start launching.
I mean, like so much shit happened. Yeah. And then we're just supposed to expect that every single wish was undone at the same time. Like this is just
hear me out. Anyway. So we're gonna say they launched nukes at each other. Let's just say, for sake's sake, 10% of them were nukes that weren't wished for. So 10% of those nukes that were being launched were not wished for, right? Because the original wish was Reagan was like,
just triggered.
I want more nukes, and then they wanted more nukes, and la la la.
Yeah.
Now, okay, right, 10% of them weren't wished for. Did they disappear at the same time?
So many.
They shouldn't have disappeared because they were already there.
So many.
They were real.
It's dumb.
They should have wiped out. She should be living in Mad Max.
The
Let alone Maxwell fucking Lord.
Dude, the premise is so dumb. That's where like the movie went down to a 3. I was just like, this is just terrible.
Yeah, dire.
How about the fact that like, and this is just like more like a gimmicky thing. Like this is kind of, but it's like they are. Oh, we need to get to Turkey. Like, you don't have a passport? Yeah. Let's steal an Air Force jet. That'll be easier. Why not just, like, get an emergency passport? Yeah. or look for this guy. Surely this guy's got a passport in the apartment.
That's what I thought at the same time.
Why are you stealing this jet? And then, by the way, not telling him that stealing the jet is going to cause an issue? Like, there's a big overlap.
Well, I feel
oversight, I should say.
I feel like he should have thought that through. Like, he
doesn't know about radar. He doesn't even know they can't drink from the same fountain. Like, or they can now. Like, he's very fucking out of it.
I don't think we did a very good job of outlining the plot of this movie, to be perfectly honest. But, like, this...
Yeah, sorry. But...
It does jump around so much, though. Like, to be perfectly honest, so one of the big things that was spoiled in the trailers that isn't really a spoiler is that... obviously, Chris Pine's back.
Yeah, we
and he's in someone else's body.
Over that. Yeah, sorry. So let's try that again.
But it's not like that's not made a big deal of. He's just in the trailers. You're like, hang on a minute, like he's dead. And like, don't get me wrong, it's a bit of intrigue to bring people in cinemas to find out how he's back. But they didn't really explain the situation. He was just in someone else's body.
Yeah, and then do you remember when it like happened when it started? And the guy just like pretended like he did the thing with like the arm.
Yeah. And he was acting like Chris Pine. Yeah.
It was a bit confusing.
I found okay, right. Like with the first one, that was probably the storyline that compelled me the most about the whole thing. And I think when you were saying before that the emotional beats weren't earned, I disagree with you because I think that the emotional beat of when she has to renounce her wish and give up.
Yeah, that's the only one.
Steve Trevor one more time. I was like, honest to God, like I've not been that emotional in a cinema in a long time. I mean, I have been in a cinema for a long time.
Like,
so
I mean, like I didn't mean the emotional beat. Like those two are the one part.
They are the heartbeat of these movies. Yeah,
I'm saying like when I'm supposed to care that like they're destroying this world, or I'm supposed to care that Pedro Pascal is like doing this, going too far. Like, none of like none of the things I'm supposed to care about. I care about because they haven't built a world that I care about. They haven't built the characters other than Wonder Woman that mean anything to me. So it's like when they're gonna go destroy things, I'm like, whatever, dude. Like,
and what's really like that's a really good point. I think what's really interesting is that I don't think the lessons learned follow through. So like obviously it starts in Themyscira, and you've got this big lesson about don't take the quick route. It's never gonna. It's bad. Like. And I get that's kind of what Maxwell Lord's trying to do, but like the lesson doesn't really relate in any way to like what happens in the movie. I'm like, why are we having this? Is it just because they're contractually obliged to come back for the film? Like, what's happening?
Like, why does he keep going?
I don't know.
Like there comes a point where he's just like trying to get everyone's wishes.
Pedro Pascal, I think that's the stone. So I think he's corrupted so much by the stone by that point. He's almost lost his.
And I guess that was one of my big things. It's like, okay, so this is like another area where like DC fails.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, instead of building lore, and you're like, oh, I was like intrigued. I was like, oh, God made this thing? Are you gonna? You gonna get into this? Are we gonna get some backstory?
The Duke of Deception.
The Duke of Deception. Is he gonna be involved in some way? Are we gonna see a bit of him? Are you gonna tell me why he's so bad? What is this gonna be like a Infinity Stone kind of scenario? Like not exactly that, but something different. No, it's just the MacGuffin. It's bad. Yeah. And it corrupts the guy, and then he becomes weird and wants power.
And it just ends.
And there's no like lore building or connections to other. It's just shit.
Here's another unanswerable question for you. Yeah. So let's imagine that like he gives up his wish, right? It's like everything stops. Let's imagine not everybody renounced their wishes just for a minute here. Like not everyone might have done.
I mean, there's so much going on.
If I wish to be like, I don't know, fucking Superman or whatever, I wouldn't renounce. Why the fuck would you renounce that as a great wish? But I also wonder if that's a way that they're going to introduce new supervillains into the Earth One.
You'd hope, but like I just don't think that they think that far ahead.
Well, I don't think they have with these movies either, and that's a really. But that could be a way of being like, this is how you end up with X.
Can they make up their mind about whether she can fly or not?
Yeah.
What's going on? She needs to get a jet. They can't just she can't just get on her back and fly.
She couldn't fly with him.
Why
I think
not?
She can kind of
but in the first movie, she could fly.
She couldn't fly in the first movie.
I swear to God, she could fly at points. At some point, one of these things she's flying.
She never flew in the first movie.
And then she could fly, and then she could fly without the rope.
Kind of flew,
and then she couldn't. and then they need a jet.
Well, in the comics, she is very similar. Like she can sometimes fly, sometimes she can kind of float. It's a little up in the air, so that kind of thing gone in the middle there a bit low.
Kind of dumb though.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times she can fly in the comics, but like this isn't really directly related to any of like her directly related to any comic books. But one interesting thing I did note was the chicken suit, which I'm really excited to talk about. Do you remember the chicken suit, the golden chicken suit?
Yes. Kind of looked like you know what it kind of looked like?
Go
A
on.
gold version of the one in Ragnarok with Thor's sister. Like
The Hela one.
Whatever her costume
The
is.
Hela one?
Yeah.
She didn't have wings though.
I think she did.
She couldn't.
I think she did. It just wasn't gold. It was black.
I don't.
She had these like weird little things coming off. Anyway.
Okay, maybe.
I digress.
Well, I mean, that is a direct callback to the DC graphic novel Kingdom Come, which I would actually love to see put on the big screen at some point. Kingdom Come is essentially all of the DC characters are aged, so they're all getting older. So Superman's getting older, Batman's obviously a lot older, Wonder Woman's older, etc., etc. They can't. Well, that's kind of one of the points of the story.
Okay.
And what they are dealing with is they're dealing with a younger generation of superheroes who are more violent, and they all kind of have to come out of retirement and come out of their sort of stasis to show these young bucks how to be proper heroes.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that on the screen.
No, that would be good. That would be good. I'd like that. To be fair, I think it would just be like a cool take on the storyline of like, oh, do I have enough?
Yeah.
It's almost like the Batman, the Dark Knight Rises storyline, but for DC. All of them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, because that was like the whole thing. Is like, can he come back? Does he care enough? What motivates him?
Fair.
Or is he trying to just do this to kill himself? So,
Probably the latter. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, let's talk about Barbara, Kristen Wiig's character.
Want to talk about her?
I have, and I've brought this up before, and I'm not going to let this die ever. I'd love to know your thoughts on this version. Why does Hollywood keep putting clearly very attractive people in oversized clothes and glasses and thinking it somehow makes them unattractive? They did it just in movies we've talked about. They did it as Poison Ivy in Batman vs. Robin. They did it to Halle Berry in Catwoman. It blows my mind.
It is quite dumb. And you know what? Like, I feel like there is other ways to make people look.
It's fucking so hard.
Like, make people look not hot.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, like, if you think about, what's that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding? Have you seen it?
No, I don't.
It's an old romantic comedy. It was like a cult classic. But basically the thing that happens in that movie, the main character, she looks completely different in the first half of it. She has like a makeover in the second half. Totally can pull it off.
Okay, I still haven't seen it. I really need to watch it. Actually, you know what? Am I going to watch it? Probably fucking not.
No.
In fact, all right, here's a question for you then. If this wasn't the only film out in cinemas, would you have gone to see it?
No. Mainly because I had a buddy, one of my buddies, Ari Rassler, shout out.
Shout out.
We were both reading that tome of a book, right?
Oh, the one we talked about last time. Yeah.
By Brandon Sanderson. And I'm done with it now. But we have like a chat where we're, as we're going through, we're like trying not to spoil each other. I think we don't know where each other is. Their books are pretty crazy. A lot of stuff happens.
Yep.
And I'm just sitting there with one of my other buddies, Kyle, and I'm like, Ari, like, finish it. He's like, dude, I can't. My mom made me go watch Wonder Woman 2, and I would have loved to be reading, but I spent 3 hours in that shitty movie. And so it's kind of like, I already knew I was going to go in and probably not like it.
Poor guy. He was forced. I mean,
good
we
son.
weren't forced to.
Good son. We
chose to. What does that say about us?
I don't know.
Desperate for some new content.
I don't know.
Did you know in this movie there was actually a post-credit scene?
You know what?
We did not stay for a post-credit scene.
If you were going to try and make me, I was going to say no.
No, I was.
But you got up instantly. I was like, good job.
I just searched it afterwards. I was like, is there a post? The post-credit scene is actually kind of interesting.
What is it about?
Let me explain it to you. I've got it written down here. So, do you remember the original owner of the Golden Chicken outfit? So when they told you the story halfway through, it was a warrior called Asteria who was left behind to save the world from the men or whatever. So all the Amazonians could go and live on Themyscira.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is there was a post-credit stinger whereby a lady was walking through a market and a big thing falls down and it's about to hit her pram. And who you think is just Wonder Woman puts her arm up and catches this big heavy thing. and throws it back, and the lady runs over, and she's like, massive spoilers here, by the way, for the ending of, and she runs over, she's like, oh my God, thank you so much. And as she turns around, it actually turns out it's Linda Carter, who is the original Wonder Woman from the TV show in 1979, which is a really lovely callback. And what's also interesting is when she asks her name, she says her name is Asteria, which pose the question: what's Asteria been doing ever since the dawn of time, when she defeated all? When all the Amazonians went to Themyscira? What's she been up to? Has she been secretly in the background doing stuff? It's just a nice callback. I don't know if it's going to open any doors for future things, but I kind of like that. It was kind of
that's cool. On that note, do you want to talk about things you did like? I mean, we kind of already did it.
Let's do it. Hit me up. What are your three best and three worst?
You know what I did like was how they really actually did a good job of showing what it would be like to be this super hot woman who is really confident in a world,
especially in the 80s.
In the 80s, where there's just countless
just
slimy
woman
dudes, just woman hitting and being rude about it as well.
No.
They did a really good job of showing off and how I was tired for her. I was like, this guy's fuck off, dude.
Yeah, that's
so I thought that was a good point and kind of relevant in 2020. And
I like that.
What
else did you like? You gotta have three.
I just think Chris Pine holds his own with zero powers.
Yeah.
And he did it in the last one too.
Yeah.
You know, he shows
he's a great character. He's a fantastic actor.
And he's totally down being the weaker guys. Get in there, break the lock. You know, I love that. Yeah.
Well,
very comfortable with it.
One thing that didn't make my three, and I think because we talked a lot about it before, is that I think one of the key gels of this movie is Chris Pine and Gal Gadot's chemistry on screen.
Yes.
Without that, this movie doesn't have
much
any emotional weight. She's got nothing to fight for. I mean, she obviously the world, but
that we don't care about. That's my point. That's what I talk about with payoffs. There's nothing paying off other than those two. And to be fair,
I agree with you.
You knew that it was you knew it wasn't gonna be it wasn't gonna last the whole time. You knew that this was gonna be a one movie thing.
Yeah. No. Okay. Go on. Next one.
The third.
Do you have three?
I do. I do have three. I mean, I had one that was basically just generally. Yeah. The acting of the leads was good, despite even bad dialogue at times.
That's some real critical analysis there. The acting of the leads is good.
Well, it's it's more than I can say about Aquaman. Seriously.
I love Jason Momoa. Don't
I don't think he was bad. I don't think he was good.
J-Mo. God, imagine someone calling him. He'd probably beat you to death with an axe.
I'll be more specific. Pedro Pascal's effort.
That is one of mine.
He's just put so much
into it. One of my three
is
is just... And don't get me wrong, I think that character was averagely written. His motivations weren't great. I didn't like his turn at the end to save his son. I didn't think it kept with his character. He didn't seem to care that much about his son, even though he... he didn't feel like a person who would give up everything for that.
Yeah.
But his acting, the way he carried it off, he hammed the shit out of that. He was great. And
give me everything.
Yeah, go on.
He had it would if it was a bad actor, it would have been a terrible.
Oh, so bad.
Because there's so much time spent on that.
Could you imagine that with anyone else?
Yeah, it would have been bad.
I can't think of many actors who could pull it off. Go on, sorry, what's your third?
That is my third, surely.
What's your second?
Chris Pine, the whole thing with the misogyny thing, and then good old Pedro Pascal.
Okay, well, I mentioned one of my three, Pedro, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I've fallen into one of the tropes you've done there. The Gal Gadot, Patty Jenkins partnership. For me, her writing, her direction, I think Gal Gadot is phenomenal on screen. I think together they're a powerhouse. She's great, and she's obviously got this Star Wars movie that's coming up, which I'm super excited. Yeah, we talked about it bloody last time we did a podcast. She's helming a Star Wars movie.
Which one is it?
The Rogue Squadron.
Oh yeah. The one that there's no details about.
And I just think she's a real powerhouse right now, and she could do a lot of really awesome stuff. So that's one of mine. And I've just said, and just sort of going back to what I was talking before, the Chris Pine sacrifice scene, I gotta say, I was pretty fucking emotional in that moment.
Good.
I was like, that was really earned, and I think that, like you said, that hasn't been the case for a lot of these movies. And when, I was like, I honestly wasn't sure she was going to give it up. I was like, maybe she's, I was like, maybe she's not. Maybe she's just gonna try and fight as a regular human, Yeah. So that was for me, that gripped me. But then it kind of, soon as he was gone, I was like, okay. It's just gonna be. It's just gonna be a big corny fight. But Pedro Pascal, like you say, was phenomenal as well. What are your three worst? We've talked about a lot of average
I
stuff.
probably talked about them all. The entire premise of the conflict and its resolution, like the fact that just like the conflict is all these wishes.
Yeah,
and
okay.
that they all just suddenly got wished back into place.
Yeah,
Like, it was
okay.
just too much.
Yeah.
The other thing I didn't like was again the just gimmicky, campy, childlike stories surrounding the.
Sorry. Talking about that, I can suspend my disbelief long enough to say that all the wishes Pedro Pascal granted, when he renounced his wish, all those wishes got removed. I can suspend my disbelief that far.
Can you?
I can. But go on, you were saying. Sorry. Can you?
Like, because they already were given.
Stay classy, San Diego.
I guess like it's fair. Let's just say fair. I'm not even saying that there's like plot holes. I'm saying like that is just cheap. It's just like, it was cheap. It wasn't like
It's not the best. Go on. Sorry, you were saying.
It wasn't really like thought provoking or thoughtful.
Okay.
Then
agreed.
I think it's just dialogue at times was like absurdly cheesy.
Oh, so bad.
Like when she was like doing the monologue to like all the people who are wishing, I was like, dude, just shoot.
Kind of had to,
like,
and you knew what was going on.
Shoot
there as
me,
well.
like
Yeah.
I was, and it went on for like 45 seconds. I was like,
more. It's like
no
a
one's
2-minute
listening.
dialogue.
Like this guy's just watching this girl die because he wished her dead. He's not listening to your monologue. Like that was actually kind of funny, that scene.
I think that was supposed to be like an emotional beat, and I was like, I'm laughing at this. This is fucking stupid. I agree with you massively. I think that whole bit where you could see what was happening. Yeah. Like she's doing this big speech, and you're like, "There's no way she's just talking to him. That would be ridiculous."
And it, like, even though you knew she wasn't, it still felt ridiculous because, like, why would he just sit there and like watch her talk to him for that long? About like, I'd be like, "Want to shut up?"
Yeah, like, dude.
Yeah, like, can't keep going, carry on, finish off. Like, what do you know?
Go on. What's your last one? You got a third one?
I think that was it. I think I did 3.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the campy origin stories of these villains. Like what? Like why does she get so angry about like just being a bit awkward? You know.
I understand her wish meant that she lost it. The trade off for her wish was her losing her humanity. Yeah. And I understand that maybe she got angry from that and she didn't want to lose what she had, but
she goes. Oh,
you know what?
She goes a bit far.
It's just a bit. Yeah, I just don't think it's handled very well. I think that's the issue. Like that's not, and I'm not saying it needs to explain you have lost your humanity. She definitely mentions it at one point, but I don't think it does a good enough job of reinforcing that she's lost her humanity.
You know what? I just think that the whole premise of how they drove the plot with this wish thing is just so overused. Like, name a movie. Like, it feels like it was from The Mummy. It feels like it was from Bruce Almighty. It feels like it was from, like, name a movie. Like, there's so many that have used these weird things, and it's just like, as soon as I realized that was what was going to power the plot, I was kind of like, oh, weak.
Yeah.
You know?
Fair enough. Yeah. No, okay. Well, my 3 worst were 1, Kristen Wiig, and I hate to say that because I actually like Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, but she's all right. Like,
okay, not necessarily Kristen Wiig. Maybe it's the character she was given.
She overacted.
Is not massive. Just did not, for me, didn't work for her. Yeah. Like none of it.
She's actually good at playing that character, but she overdid it.
I feel like there was a little bit of. I think anything was good about the performance. I can't pick one good thing.
Do you reckon that there was ad-libbing going on when she was doing those awkward scenes while she was awkward? Like, oh, maybe like later I'll do like that stuff.
No, that was just bad.
I think that maybe she was like doing that. I don't know if that was all written
free
in the
rein
script. Yeah,
that was, to me that was just bad. Right,
yeah, it was.
So my second one is, we've already talked about this, but the chicken outfit. Like, that's supposed to be this big fucking cool gold eagle thing, and in the comics it's cool, and that was just.
Not only was it not cool, like it got torn up quickly.
So fast.
It was pretty useless.
By all the armies of men couldn't make a scratch on it, and Kristen Wiig, who was
like fucks it up.
What was she? She was the apex predator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Sure.
Also, why do you go there? Like, I want to become the apex predator.
And why did she need the outfit? So surely the point of having the outfit, for me, when I saw the trailer, I thought the golden chicken outfit. I thought when I saw the trailer, I thought she'd need the chicken outfit because she didn't have the powers, and that's why when the reason I thought she wasn't going to give up a wish about Chris Pine, right, was because I knew that she was going to put that outfit on. You've seen it in the trailers. It's already spoiled for you. So I was thinking, okay, she must find another way around this.
That would have been interesting if she pursued that and he made her do it anyway.
Why does she need the outfit?
Yeah.
if she's already got her powers back? Her powers, when she's got the powers, she's already better than her.
She would have been scratched, obviously.
You got a cat, man. You're spending way too much time with that cat.
Nah.
And my last one was, and I'm actually going to change it. I did put something different on here, but my last one was the fact that they managed to somehow, and they've done it in almost every superhero movie so far, is fit in like a sky beam or a particle beam or a beam of some description.
I'm like, theater, I looked at you when that thing came on and you were like intensely watching, so I was like, I'm going to save it for the podcast.
Dude, I was like, just think of anything else. There's got to be another MacGuffin you can use. There has to be one. I'm like, this is...
like, I guess when you watch this many movies, you know,
fuck, man.
it all starts to sound...
They're all the same.
If I had to summarize it, man, this film had the makings to be slightly above average, if executed well, maybe mediocre.
Yep.
Instead, it was bad.
Yep.
And it did not have the makings to be an above average film.
Fair.
Like, you know, like Fantastic Four, we're like, whoa, this might have been something.
Should have been something.
If it was done better, it could have been cool.
Well, I think this should have been
different.
Something. I think this. I think in the same vein, this should have been something.
No, I think this one was too tropey to ever be anything more than a little bit above average. There was nothing different about it. There was nothing decisive, or it was the only things that carried it were the two leads.
Look, I think it built on what happened in the first one. I just don't think it built in a direction that worked for the characters. I'm going to say that. Okay, cool. Let's quickly jump into facts and trivia then. I have a couple of bits for you before we finish off. Mm-hmm. So the couple of facts and trivias I've got are actually kind of fun. So Patty Jenkins and Pedro Pascal based Maxwell Lord's character's portrayal off stockbroker Gordon Gekko in Wall Street, 1987.
That's not fair.
A mix
Gordon
of a mix of him and Lex Luthor in Superman 1978, which I actually really liked. But he also apparently, and he's quoted as saying that he based some of his performance off Nicolas Cage, which I fucking love.
I'm gonna steal the fucking Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, it's not like specifically this character or this thing. It's like
generally
Nicolas Cage, man. What a legend.
Yeah.
Fucking.
But Pedro said that.
Apparently so. Yeah. Apparently between them they did.
I mean, kind of actually. You can kind of see.
Yeah,
it.
you really can. And okay, speaking of Pedro, then this is actually his second feature in in any Wonder Woman property. So in 2011, there was an unreleased TV pilot for Wonder Woman in which he featured. So he has actually had his fill of Wonder Woman.
That was before he was Game of Thrones guy. Viper.
Ooh, good question. I'm not entirely sure.
It was, for
2011. Yeah, probably, yeah.
It was, because that was when the last book came out, and that was like season 3 or 2.
Okay.
Or something. Yeah.
Okay. And then just in a final bit of trivia, just linking back to one of our earlier podcasts, if you haven't listened to Superman 4: The Quest for Peace yet, please do. It's an absolute favourite of ours. The symbol for, how do you say it? Nuclear man. Yeah, our favourite nuclear man can actually be seen on the floor of the mall in that scene in the beginning when she's saving the kids and stopping the heist.
That was so cheesy.
So fucking... Look, we've talked about this. I don't know if I can talk about this anymore.
No, I just forgot about that part. It was so cheesy.
And that's Wonder Woman 1984. Yeah. It is slightly better than Aquaman. Slightly.
I can't believe I said that, but I do stand by it.
You stand by it. You can't change your mind now.
No, I do stand by it.
It's in the stars now.
It's on the tape.
So I'm going to quickly then go and jump into our correspondence. So thank you all for correspondence. Thank you all for pointing out how bad the intro theme was for the Christmas holiday episode. We know. We appreciate it. We do have an email from an old favorite friend of the show, Matt. Thank you so much. Once again, he compliments the show. He says, it's a great show. Thank you. And thank you very much, Matt. We do really appreciate it. He has gone back. This is going back a couple, actually. So he went back and has offered some recommendations about games he'd like to see as movies and wanted to know our thoughts. So first and foremost, did you ever play Alone in the Dark? I think we talked about this very briefly, didn't we?
Alone in the Dark. Why does that sound familiar?
I think it was made by the same guys who did Alan Wake. I have a weird feeling.
No, I didn't, but it sounds familiar.
Yeah, I remember.
I'm looking it up.
I remember my brother played a lot of that growing up, so didn't play it. No, it's meant to be an incredible game. We can maybe look into it for the next time we do games we want to see as movies. And the other one you mentioned was BioShock.
2. Wow. BioShock, another one.
Did you ever play BioShock?
That I haven't played. Another one by.
It's Bethesda, isn't it?
Is it? I thought it was the other. I thought it was the people that made Mass Effect.
Have a quick look. I can't honestly remember. In my head, it's Bethesda. It probably isn't.
BioWare.
I mean, Bio. I think that's what. That's some really.
No, but I honestly do think.
No, I mean, I haven't played that one, but I would very much like to. Thank you very much, Matt. Happy New Year and Happy Christmas to you as well, Matt. Thank you for the correspondence. We really appreciate it. If anyone else wants to get in touch with any recommendations, anything you'd like us to watch, anything you'd like us to suffer through, do let us know. What's the email address, Dre?
thepodcastassemble@gmail.com.
Oh my God, he got it right.
Dude.
Couldn't believe it. He's on fire. And we do also have a Twitter as well, which I believe is pod_assemble. So search us out, have a look for our stuff, send us some recommendations. We love all the correspondence. It's great. Thank you very much, everyone. That was Wonder Woman 1984. Thank you, Dre.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
See you later.